Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all having a great day today. We're going to talk a little bit about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Apologize, man, lack of videos the last week or so. I was in Florida, just got back today, although, I mean, dude, it was like 100 degrees today. I mean, I think it was literally like warmer here today than it was in Florida. Maybe not like index-wise, but it was hot as shit today. So Eric and I, we're going to be getting those live streams going. You'll probably see one in the next day or so. We're still trying to figure out, like, NFL's so stingy with highlights and stuff like that, man. So we're still trying to figure out ways to make these videos a little bit more enjoyable for you guys. But like I said, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Justin Fields because I haven't talked to Bears in like a week, it feels like, and I just want to talk a little bit more about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears because I was reading an article earlier today and they were going through like possible disappointing players on each team, and the Chicago Bears was Justin Fields, and I think this is probably the furthest from the truth. The point was kind of solid, like I guess it was a little bit solid. I don't think it was, I think what the article didn't really, I think what they focused more on was personnel around Justin Fields as opposed to like Justin Fields actually. Like we saw enough from Fields last year. Like I think back to like the Pittsburgh Steelers game. Like you look at Fields' record, I mean, only won 2 games. You look at his TD to interception ratio, like it was, what was it, 9 of 13. It was, nothing statistically was great about Justin Fields in his rookie season. And the article kind of was pointing out like how Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, their front offices made a lot more moves to get the right personnel and the right threats around them. And that is true, but I think Chicago's in a little bit of a different stage. I think they're like, I don't want to say like a year behind the Jets or the Jaguars, but obviously with a new coach, just like a new coach, just new coaches, new management, like this is definitely an evaluation year. And so, yeah, you know, I've made videos on the Bears trading for DK Metcalf. I've made Bears videos talking about signing Emmanuel Sanders, signing Odell Beckham Jr., like, you know, pretty far-fetched videos like that because I think you can agree with this statement. The Bears, I think this is how a lot of Bears fans feel. The Bears wide receiver room is fine, but it could obviously be better. You know, Darnell Mooney is one of, if not the most underrated wide receiver one in the NFL, I would say. The issue with the Chicago Bears and the issue with Justin Fields, in my opinion, is just solely the offensive line. Like, somebody had, I forget who it was, but somebody had the funniest comment where it was like, I made a video and I was talking about how Justin Fields only has 5 seconds to throw the ball, and somebody was like, bro, are you on, like, crack? He has, like, 2 to 3 seconds. I'm like, yeah. Basically, essentially that. Justin Fields had, like, 2 to 3 seconds in the backfield last season before the offensive line just completely collapsed, and from that point he has to just figure it out. So I think given all the suffering that Justin Fields kind of had to go through last year as far as offensive line goes, I think it's going to make him a lot more poised, a lot more cool, calm, and composed under pressure and when you're getting blitzed. You know, opposing teams, like especially like defensive coordinator OGs, like championship level squads, like they see a cat like Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and a relatively weaker offensive line, and they start to lick their chops. You know, they're like, let's just throw some bodies on them, let's throw some blitzes right out of the gate, and let's see what they're made of. And in the Bears situation, when you blitz them, last season it was just kind of hard to generate much going. So yeah, the article kind of saying, you know, you didn't go out, you didn't get an Odell, you didn't get a Julio, although those are, you know, still 2 unsigned free agents for good reasons. So I kind of like what the Bears are doing. I mean, they're remaining very flexible, and specifically at the wide receiver position, you have a lot of, maybe not flyers. Flyers might not be the best word, but you have a lot of guys you're, you know, hopeful on. You know, Byron Pringle. I think Byron Pringle, statistically, he's not going to go off for, you know, 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns next season. But I think with Pringle, you're going to see a lot of flashes. I think you're going to see a lot of flashes, and I would anticipate he will be a Chicago Bear for the next handful of seasons. Outside of that, Equanimeous St. Brown, he's solid. You know, he's solid. He never really got an opportunity in Green Bay. You know, his brother just had a good season with Detroit, so he's like even more eager to get to work. He's a good wide receiver as it stands. You got Dante Pettis there. You have Tajae Sharp. But Velus Jones Jr., bro, I don't understand all this backlash this cat is getting. I genuinely don't get this backlash he is getting. Here's a paragraph from this article. I forget who the writer was, but here it is. The Chicago Bears also selected Velus Jones in the 3rd round of the draft. In his most productive collegiate term as a receiver, he caught 62 passes for 807 yards and 7 touchdowns, which doesn't generate much excitement for his rookie outlook. Huh? Bro, what? What are you talking about? I'm not the biggest college football watcher. I really just started, ever since I started making NFL content, which, by the way, guys, I made my own NFL channel where I talk about all the teams in the league. That's going to be in the bio if you wanted to check that out. But, bro, since, like I said, I don't watch too much college football until I started covering football this summer. But you cannot tell me, especially in college, let alone the NFL, you can't tell me, like, imagine Velus Jones next season caught 62 passes for 807 yards and 7 touchdowns. Name one person who would be pissed off. Name one soul. The writer of this article, evidently. I can't think of one goddamn dude who would be like, 807 yards, 7 touchdowns, 62 passes. What? Like, there are first-round draft picks picked in the first 15 picks of the draft who can have a stat line like that next year and be like, that was a fine rookie season. I just find that so absurd. So, given the addition of draft acquisition, Velus Jones Jr., who SEC cat, my buddy Nick is a big SEC Florida Gator fan. He's a big SEC dog in general. He's not high on him. But I view him as like I get narcissistic and pessimistic. I would view him more as like a pessimistic Bears fan, which I feel like you see more with people a little bit like twice my age, where it's like, I'm just sick of seeing, all these players, all these rookies, they seem like they have a great mini camp, and then the season comes along and they just don't impress me. Like, if you're a longtime Bears fan, I can understand some pessimism. But from like a 23-year-old, I think 3rd-round pick, Velus Jones Jr., I think he is going to pretty much cement himself as wide receiver number 2. I would say as late as halfway through the season, but I think you'll start to see it around week 3, around week 4. I think you'll see like a breakout week where Velus catches, maybe 7 or 8 passes for 100+ and like 2 touchdowns. And I think from that point forward, Velus Jones is on the radar where it's like, okay, yeah, he can definitely be a reliable wide receiver for us for hopefully a long time. So I'm just curious to hear what you guys have to say, because like I said, this article is just purely based on, I would imagine, analytics on Fields not having guys like Cooper Kupp or, I couldn't think of a wide receiver. Davante Adams or like a Cooper Kupp or a DeAndre Hopkins. Well, no, because they want to evaluate the talent that they have right now. They want to see how Fields meshes. Your offensive line is definitely reconstructing. The offensive line's on the right track. Everything's just on the right track. So why go out and break the bank on a torn ACL Odell Beckham Jr., give him a fat contract, and it's just financially, like, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You're not going to be that flexible. So I'm very curious to just hear what you guys have to say as far as Justin Fields next season, because, like, myself, I could be completely wrong from a lot of you guys watching this video, but, like, when I'm going to be analyzing Justin Fields next season, I do want to see good statistical games, kind of like Pittsburgh, but I don't need 17 straight good, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no turnovers. Like, that's not what I need from Fields next season. I need him to show more consistent flashes of what he can provide, and hopefully that offensive line can provide for him, and hopefully these wide receivers can kind of, create separation, stay healthy, and just kind of do their jobs to give Justin Fields reliable options. So I don't think the Bears offense is going to be as bad as some people are anticipating. I want to hear from you guys, though. I know there was a lot to digest in this video. So hit the like button, hit that sub button for daily Chicago Bears content. Appreciate 1.25K this channel's a lot of fun, man. This channel's a lot of fun. So that's really it, man. Drop a comment down below. What do you think about next season for JF? Peace.